That did not take long at all. The captain comes off the shelf sooner than anticipated. As a Pacific Division rival comes to town, we get you set for the Oilers and the Golden Knights on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola with you inside the EST Satellite Studios in downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Hernan Salas back at EST HQ on the city's west end. And tonight it will be Shawn Belle filling in for Matt Cassian as our game analyst. The first of four meetings, I should say, between the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights goes tonight. You'll see a lot of these Golden Knights in the next few weeks here. And usually they're pretty good games. Although the first one last year, as Bruce Cassidy pointed out during his media availability earlier today, was a little bit quieter. So hopefully that's not the case tonight. McDavid's back after missing 3 games. The Oilers winning 2 of them, and the ankle is good to go. How excited are you about that? You tell us. 780-218-9999. Get in on the conversation. How do you feel going into this game as a whole? Are you concerned? Vegas playing very, very good so far this season. 8-3-1 on the season, and they were first in the division until the Kings won last night. The Kings have played 2 more games than the Vegas Golden Knights, so they, as of today, in first in the Pacific Division, but it has been the Golden Knights leading the charge the last couple of weeks. We want to hear from you, as always. I'm looking at the nasty chat. I like what I'm seeing. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in. I see CJ in LA checking in. What's up, CJ? Bouncing between LA, Chicago sometimes, great cities. And then she makes it back to God's country, good old Edmonton every now and then. Hello, CJ in LA. And then Top Shelf Adventures says, I'm watching from Tulum, Mexico. If it isn't already on our map in the studio, put it on the map, Hernan, because we've got somebody watching in Mexico. And I always love putting new pins on the map that we have in our studios. And hello. And I hope everything is well in Tulum. Beautiful, beautiful part of the world. The Combine crew's in there. Hello, Norm. Howdy, pre-gamers. Yes, indeed. Rob from the Grove. What's up? Lars, hello. Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that. What shoes are you wearing, Tommy? Great question. I'm not wearing any right now, but when it's time to go to the rink, which is literally right across the street from our building, I'll just have some dress shoes on. I do not do the suit with sports shoes or running shoes. I think that's a cop-out, in my opinion, even though it's popular. Hello, Hernan Salas. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Excited. Connor was 2 to 3 weeks, but it was 2 to 3 games. I think there's some misinformation there, but
stop it.
No, I'm kidding.
That's what the team put out.
No, I know it. Connor said, "Well, I don't work with the media release people, so." No, but excited, man. It's going to be a good game. These teams, every time they meet up, I'm just glad that it's full roster on full roster, right? So yeah, it's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it. The Oilers, we'll see if they can get that power play going. See if they can fix that PK.
Woof.
I know you're going to get to the stats. So I'll bring it up later. But, yeah, a lot of intriguing storylines ahead of this game. Vegas playing really well. Mm-hmm. I will say this, though, Tom. Vegas hasn't won on the road yet.
3-1 so far. They've only played 4 road games, and they are 8-0 at home. So pretty damn good at the Fortress, as they like to call it, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, or Clark County. It's technically not Las Vegas on the Strip, if we're getting into the technicalities of it all. But, yeah, they have been very strong at home, not so much on the road. And we'll see if the Oilers can add to their misery with the addition of Connor McDavid tonight, or if the Golden Knights continue to roll and reclaim top spot in the Pacific, 2 points back of the LA Kings. All right, Edmonton 6-1 on the season. Vegas 8-3-1. It is game number 14 for the Oil. We have Shawn Belle standing by. Before we get to Bellsy, who's in for Cass tonight and will bring us game changers, I do need to mention that GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. And I do want to mention, too, we're not on location tonight. Bellsy was asking earlier, are we on location today? Not today. November 16th at Boston Pizza Westgate, November 21st, Hudson's, White Avenue. go check out the On Location page on EdmontonSportsTalk.com when we're on location for any show. We're busy boys and girls over here at EST, and it's always fun when we're at a restaurant, bar, or venue for a show or two. All right, let's get to it. Starting lineups and the injury report for the Oilers tonight. This is what they're rolling out. McDavid between Skinner and Hyman. Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. That line's been very good in McDavid's absence. Nugent-Hopkins between Henrique and Brown. Derek Ryan with Janmark and Perry. Noah Philp has been sent back down to Bakersfield. So a short stint in the NHL for Philp. Nothing to be ashamed of that he was only here for about a week, but he did get that first NHL point and now has a taste of the National Hockey League, and we'll see what he does with that. He's already down in Calgary taking on the Wranglers with the Bakersfield Condors tonight. On defense for the Oilers, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Stetcher, Kulak with Emberson. That means Travis Dermott is the lone man out. As for the Vegas Golden Knights, here's what they rolled with in their last game when they won the other night. Jack Eichel between Ivan Barbashev and Mark Stone. Tomas Hertl with Brett Howden and Pavel Dorofeev. William Karlsson centering Tanner Pearson and Alexander Holtz. Nicholas Waugh between Cole Schwindt, who was picked up on waivers the first time that the Golden Knights picked up Raphael Lavoie on waivers. Schwindt sticking around with the Golden Knights. Obviously, Lavoie back with the Golden Knights in their minor league system, playing for the Henderson Silver Knights. But on that fourth line tonight, Nicholas Waugh with Cole Schwindt and Keegan Colasar, who can hurt you physically and on the scoreboard as well. On defense for Vegas, Noah Hannafin with Alex Pietrangelo, Braden McNabb with Shea Theodore, Nicholas Hague with Zach Whitecloud. That means Caden Korzak and Ben Hutton are out. If anything changes and we get an update during warm-up, we will gladly pass that along your way. Your starting goalies tonight for the Oilers, 26-year-old Stu Skinner, 3-4-1 this season, 331 goals against average, 881 save percentage in 8 games this year. Yes, the GAA is not optimal. Yes, the save percentage, no bueno. He can work on that, but for the most part, outside of maybe the Columbus game and the Winnipeg game, he has given this team a chance to win on nights where they simply can't score goals. He can't score for them. He's a goalie. He tries to keep them out, and I think for the most part has done a pretty good job. Skinner versus the Golden Knights, by the way, 4-0, 147 GAA, 944 save percentage. With one shutout in 5 games against Vegas. Actually, you know what? I didn't update those. That's my bad. Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame. That was Pickard's numbers against New Jersey. Stuart Skinner is very good against the Vegas Golden Knights. He is actually 4-1-1. So 4-1-1, 294 GAA, 888 save percentage, no shutouts in 6 appearances versus Vegas. Shame. As for the Golden Knights, they're going to roll with 28-year-old Aiden Hill, who is 5-2 this year, 315 GAA, 874 save percentage, 1 shutout in the 7 games he's played this year. Hill versus Edmonton over the course of his career. He's played them 5 times. He has a 1-2-1 record, 280 GAA, 891 save percentage versus the Oil. Aiden Hill out of Calgary. Had a great conversation with him today. I've known him for a bunch of years. I suggested maybe the Oilers go get him, but they have Stu Skinner now. Aiden Hill, a great guy. And we'll see 2 good guys in net tonight, big dudes, and we'll see which guy gets the better of the other. That brings us out to the Advantage Sports Medicine Injury Report. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, they treat you like the pros. Their multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. For the Oilers, no Connor McDavid because he's playing tonight. He's good to go. That leaves us with Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery. As for the Vegas Golden Knights, Ilya Samsonov, the backup goaltender, day-to-day, undisclosed. He apparently is back in Vegas as they begin a brief 2-game road trip. Edmonton and Seattle is where the Golden Knights will be going. And then Victor Olofsson, IR, lower body issue. That is the Advantage Sports Medicine injury report. Hernan Salas, before we bring in Shawn Belle, our game analyst for tonight, any thoughts, or do you want to lay out a question of the night for us? What say you?
Yeah, my thoughts are it's going to be a hell of a game.
Okay.
Really looking forward to this. I really like Vegas's, the Golden Knights defense. I think 1 through 6, they're solid. If you look at Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, just excellent numbers so far this season. So I'm intrigued by this. They got some interesting young players as well. Alexander Holtz intrigues me. He's not a younger guy, but kind of that mid-tier. Brett Howden's having a good start to the season as well. So, it's going to be a fun one. Always fun when these two teams meet. So I'm expecting a close game. I don't know. Every time, Tom, we think it's going to be a high-scoring game, it never turns out that way. I feel like this has got 2-1 written all over it.
I hope you're wrong.
You want to see like 6-5, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I like goals. I like excitement, and I find goals provide a lot of excitement. So bring on the goals.
How concerned, and we can ask Belty too, are you about the power play here? Because Vegas is rolling in with, I think, over 30% on the PP. And we all know what's going on with the Oilers PK, and it's not bueno. Tommy. So if they take multiple penalties, I don't think it's going to be a good night for the Edmonton Oilers.
Neither do I, and that's one of the things Belsey wants to talk about. So why don't we bring Shawn Belle in, our game analyst for tonight, filling in admirably as always for Matt Cassian. Belsey, good day, sir. The Oilers power play 5 for 34 this year, 14.7%, 27th in the NHL. Ugh. PK
Woof.
alone in 32nd at 60%, no shorty scored. Like Hernan was talking about, the Golden Knights deadly on the power play, 10 for 31, 32.3%. That is pretty damn good. And then the PK for the Golden Knights, not great. 23rd in the NHL, 73.9, but the Oilers would kill to be at that point right now with one shorty scored. The Vegas Golden Knights have. Belzy, McDavid is back as we get into Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Number one for you is he back.
Yeah, before I get into that, I just want to, for the record, I was asking you about, if we're on location, because the last time I was on location, I ended up going to the wrong spot. So I wanted to make sure I was going to be on time. So I just want to clarify that.
I admire that.
Thank you very much.
It.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Just trolling me online, hey?
I'm not
Unbelievable.
trolling you. I'm not trolling you.
It's not the beers, Belzy. It's just you want to be on time.
I just want to be on time. That's it.
Well, you're on time tonight. So although we're not on location, but great to have you on as always. He back, Belzy. He back.
He back. There's got to be an excitement. There's got to be a buzz. You're getting back one of the the best offensive player in the league. And from an Oiler perspective, you've done a good job in the 3 games that he was out. You got a couple wins. Yes, you lost the last game, but now you get this player back, and there's a buzz through the room. There's excitement through the room because this is a guy that by himself can possibly get you 1 or 2 goals. So can we raise the level of the team? Is the level? How do they feel with Connor McDavid coming back in the lineup? I think there's got to be that excitement, and they get off to a really good start. That's going to definitely help in this game.
McDavid did talk about the power play, which is point number 2 tonight on Game Changers. He talked about it being like lifeless and it needs a jolt. So that is something that you and I want to discuss on Game Changers point number 2. This power play, Belzy, it first of all, they don't get many of them. Secondly, when they do, they don't do much.
Well, to me, it seems like they move the puck slow. And when they've been, humming at 30%, 25%, they're moving pucks quickly. They're crisp. They're utilizing everybody on the ice. But what I feel like I've seen from the Oilers is that they've consistently tried to stare down Draisaitl. And they've consistently tried, to hit that seam play where he's now going to have his one-timer from the goal line, which is his patented spot, which is fine. But at the end of the day, Hyman, how many goals did he have last year? And right now, they don't even utilize him, right? Because he is a threat down low. Nugent Hopkins has a sneaky shot. He plays in the bumper more often than not. And then Bouchard, he's got the Bouche bomb. So they have weapons, but they're not utilizing all their weapons. And I don't think I'd ever would have said with this group that they'd be humming along at 14%. They're too good of players. They have too good of ability to pass pucks. They've got players that they're perfect in the roles that they're used on the power play. Mm-hmm. They just got to kind of get back to basic, use everybody as opposed to just staring down Draisaitl.
Okay, I want to ask you something about the power play, and it was kind of a funny comment that came in a few days ago on, I think it was the Oil Stream in the afternoon with Reed and I. They were talking about Bouchard and asked if Bouchard, after hitting Hyman in a sensitive male area, he would be a little bit hesitant at times to hurt his own guys. As the only guy that's played the point on a power play in pro hockey on this show, is that a concern, or what would you say to that listener?
Well, I would have said, hey, Hyman, you shouldn't have been standing there because the Bouche bomb's coming and we want him unloading it, because when he has an opportunity to take those shots, there's a high likelihood it goes in the net. So, hey, Hyman does a great job of screening, and sometimes there's going to be some casualties and you're going to take a little bit of shrapnel, and it is what it is. So he's going to, if he has another opportunity, he's going to rip that thing, and hopefully Hyman decides to move in the right direction so he doesn't get hit.
In the sensitive male area.
Exactly.
I love when that was brought up, like, what the hell are we calling it? But sure enough, we'll see if that power play can connect. And, the other thing, too, is, like, I still think they'll figure it out. I suggested to Cass a couple weeks ago, I'm like, it feels to me like a cat and mouse game between other teams' penalty kills and the Oilers' power play. And right now, other teams' penalty kills are winning. Add to the fact that the Oilers' power play is kind of shooting itself in sensitive male areas at the time right now. But, like, I still think it'll come around, right? Like, is it fair to call it a cat and mouse game?
Well, I don't know if it's a cat and mouse game so much, other than the fact that literally they just stare down Draisaitl. And that's the option that they want to consistently use. And whether that's, McDavid circling the wagons and all of a sudden he tries to attack, but then he's slipping it back door. Like, there's been times where they have gone, 3-4 passes in a row straight to Draisaitl's side every single time.
Yeah.
And the reality is teams are just starting to overplay that, and they're trying to get their sticks in the right lanes. So Connor has a good shot. He's scored a ton of goals in this league. Can he become more of a threat to all of a sudden go in there and shoot the puck and score? Can you find a way to get Nugent Hopkins? He's got a sneaky good shot. He's scored. He's a very good bumper guy. Like, utilize some of the other players on the ice and try to take away, I guess, Draisaitl, because, well, okay, if you want to take away Draisaitl, that's fine. Well, we're going to go down to Hyman, and then, maybe he's going to pop it to the bumper and Nugent Hopkins for a grade A scoring chance. Maybe we're just going to give it to Hyman for, a quick stuff play, or McDavid walks in and he tries to score. Like, there's so many options on this team, and that's one of the reasons why the Oilers were so dangerous in recent years, is because they utilized everybody. And if you wanted to overplay one particular person, okay, well, the other guys are going to beat you. And right now, they just keep going back to the Draisaitl well. And I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, but right now it's not working. You're at 14%, so you got to mix it up and change things up a little bit.
It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Shawn Belle, tonight, in for Matt Cassian, right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Text us your thoughts, 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Apple Music, as well as EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get into the conversation via the inbox. I want to add a 2.1 addition to Game Changers tonight. You talk about power play number 2. I want to add penalty kill in there because, Cass and I have had to talk about it basically every game this year. You've been on a couple of times already this year. You and I and Hernan had to talk about it as well. Why can't they figure it out? Because, Bellsy, it is pathetically bad, and it's almost automatic how much they score on this Oilers penalty kill. Well,
we were talking about it on the Hangout this morning, and The thing that I guess I question is, like, did you change the PK from the playoffs? And from what I'm seeing, I don't think they've changed it. What has happened is they've actually gone out and they've changed a ton of personnel.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it's these players are now having to get used to, a different system and, the different routes and what are the different teaching point that Stewart's got. And that's really the only thing that I can think of, because it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same system that they ran the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always have one forward pushing over the top, trying to make sure that the puck is staying to the outside. And then whoever's at forward in the middle, his job is to try to take away the seams, kind of like we just talked about with the Oilers and trying to go to Draisaitl through the seam. It's the exact same scenario. And right now, the Oilers are getting picked apart through the seam. And whether that player is not at the right depth, right height, where is he trying to cheat for offense? Is he trying to cheat to, pick off pucks? What are some of those reasons? And for me, it's, the personnel's changed and now they're trying to get used to it, but they're just not hitting those details that are going to allow that kill to be successful.
It is Game Changers with Shawn Belle tonight. Oilers and Golden Knights. Let us know your thoughts via the inbox or the nasty chat. Number 1 on Game Changers was he back. Connor McDavid makes his return. Number 2 was power play. We extended that into PK. Number 3 tonight, Bellsy, hold them to 2.
Hold them to 2 is very simple. Every time they've won a game, they've held the opposing team to under 2 goals. And every time it kind of gets away from them, they lose. They give up, 3, 4, 5 goals. They end up on the losing end of the game. So the Oilers, when they're playing at their best, they're dialed in defensively. They limit the scoring chances. They take away time and space. All those cliche things that you hear from different talking heads. That's what you need to do. The Oilers have to get back to basics and make sure that they take care of their house before they decide to get on offense. And for them right now, a team that's struggling to score, well, you can't be now giving up chances. You can't be bleeding chances. You've got to solidify your home before you can even do anything else. So keep it under 2 and then go from there, and hopefully you get the win.
All right, Bellsy, a little bit of a different look with the lineup tonight when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, and I wanted to bounce this off of you, see what you thought. So they're keeping Podkolzin and Arvidsson with Draisaitl. That line, for the most part, has been pretty damn good since it's been together. Now, you got McDavid centering Skinner and Hyman. We talked to Jeff Skinner earlier today, and he said, yeah, you got to keep up and all that. But I think, he has the capability. He's a very good skater. People talked about how when he was a kid growing up, he had to take figure skating, and that led to how his ability to skate so well in hockey. And then Nugent Hopkins gets bumped down to the quote-unquote third line with Adam Henrique sliding over to the wing and Connor Brown on the right side. Janmark, Ryan, and Perry are your fourth line. What do you think the potential is there for McDavid, Skinner, Hyman? And then what do you make of Henrique, Nugent Hopkins, and Brown?
Well, I think we talked about this, and we've always asked, why isn't Nuge playing center? Because if you look at what they have now, it's a 3-headed monster down the middle. And whether we can sit here and say Nuge can drive his own line or not is almost irrelevant at this point, because what you're trying to do is now you've got Henrique, who's a solid player. When he's put up a number of points across his career. Nugent Hopkins is a solid player, and you've got Connor Brown doing his thing. And so that's 3 solid players together, kind of forming a line that could be really good defensively and limit a lot of chances for the opposing team. And now you've got, Connor McDavid, one of the best offensive players in the world. He's more of a passer than he's a shooter, and you have a guy who's supposed to be an elite shooter with Skinner. And so you've kind of spread out the wealth a little bit more, and perhaps you're going to find some chemistry. But I like the fact that they're going those 3 guys down the middle, because I just feel that's a strength of theirs. And now they have the ability to utilize it. And there's no disrespect to Henrique. I think he's a terrific centerman. Right. But I also think Nugent Hopkins is a really good centerman. And I think he's probably better suited at that position than the back and forth that has gone on for the last 2, 3, 4 seasons.
This comes in from Larzy, who says, Tommy, can you please ask Bellsy, how do you go from the level last year where Bouchard, Hyman, and Nugent Hopkins played throughout the regular season and playoffs to basically duds so far this year? Is it just a mental letdown that happens, or is it fatigue, or what? Thank you. from Lars?
Yeah, it could be a bit of all the things that you just mentioned. You're getting over the playoffs and the fact that you lost, and sometimes it's hard. I've lost in the finals, and there's days that I still think about, what could have been if one thing changed versus a different thing. Mm-hmm. So that's always going to be in the back of your mind, but you have to be a pro and you have to move past those things. Is it fatigue in that you played so many minutes over the course of, the Stanley Cup playoffs? You barely had a summer. You barely had time to recover, and now you're back into the season. Well, sure, but lots of teams go through that. So for me, it's a bit of a mental thing. And some of the guys are, like Hyman, I felt he's always had chances. And so he wasn't playing terrible. He just wasn't producing.
Right.
And I never sat back and said, okay, well, I'm worried about Hyman because he consistently was getting those chances. And those are when, as a coach, you sit back and say, okay, that guy's going to score at some point because he's doing a lot of the right things. And so now Hyman's obviously, he's scored his goals, he's producing. You're seeing his game elevate because now he's got a little bit more confidence.
Right.
In terms of Bouchard, to me, it seemed like he was just playing a little bit slow. And there'd be times where Bouchard, when he has the puck, one of his strengths is the fact that he's ultra patient. But there's patience and then there's playing slow. And, his early struggles, to me, it looks like he's played a little bit slow. That's why he's kind of been a shin pad assassin, for the first 10 games.
Right.
But normally he's not. He's a guy that can get pucks through. He can utilize other teams' defenders as screens. That's one of his elite traits. And that's when, to me, when I watch him play, he's just playing a tad bit slow, not just I'm patient with what I'm doing and I'm trying to set up,
right,
the next play, if that makes sense.
I think so. I think that makes sense. Well done, sir. I hope that was the right answer that Larzy was looking for. All right, it's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas, Shawn Belle with you right now. If you have any more questions for Bellsy or any of us or some comments, 780-218-9999. Get in the nasty chat as well. Nanso, I want to ask one more to Bellsy because I had this conversation today with Aiden Hill, and we're just shooting the breeze, catching up a little bit. And then I was like, how's the year going? He's like, my numbers aren't great, but we're winning games, and it's kind of weird right now. Like through the neutral zone, we have good defense, but I'm facing some crazy shots and opportunities that I wouldn't see before. And he's like, I don't think it's the personnel. It's just how we're defending in the neutral zone. When a goalie is saying that, Bellsy, as a former NHL defenseman, what does that indicate to you?
Well, I never had to worry about it because I was usually on the bench. But, it's just maybe a little bit of sloppiness in play. Maybe they're trying out a new system. There's a few things that could just go wrong. Like, you've got such good defensemen that maybe they're taking that one extra risk when they might not necessarily have to, as opposed to just letting the play come to them and then utilizing the fact that they're sequoia trees and shutting it down at the blue line. So that could be a very simple thing that's happening. And, sometimes it happens with good teams is they get kind of in a groove and they want to be a little bit more aggressive than they really need to be. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden here you've given up a great ace scoring opportunity.
Nancito.
Yo.
What do you got for Bellsy?
I have a question for you guys. We keep talking about we're not worried about the power play. We're not worried. They're going to score goals. What if they don't, guys? Like, what if this is a year where the Oilers are going to struggle offensively? Or is it this group just too damn talented? Because you look right now, we're a month in, right? Close to a month in or whatever it is. And a lot of guys sitting at 0, a lot of guys sitting at 1. They're one of the lowest scoring teams. Like, what if it's just this year, it's just not going to happen offensively for this team? They're in trouble, right?
Well, I mean, the Oilers' power play is going to score. Like, if you could hold this group to 14% for the entirety of the year, then I think they need to sit in front of the entire Rogers place and answer questions from all the fans. Be like, what the hell happened? Because this group is way too good, and we've seen it over the last 3 years. This is a group that can operate at 30%,
right? Maybe
even 40 sometimes. So that, to me, they're going to score. The bigger concern for me is the 5-on-5 play, because if you look back at last year, it wasn't like they were tearing it up 5-on-5.
Yeah.
and you've taken some guys out of the lineup, and we can argue about whether they were important or not. That part doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But you've taken up guys out of the lineup that had different skill sets than the guys that you've replaced them with. And so now there's going to be a situation, there's a learning process of, okay, well, Jeff Skinner is going to do something completely different than what Ryan McLeod was going to do. Ryan McLeod might have been able to just beat you flat out with his speed. Yeah. And maybe he might not have scored, or he might have scored, doesn't really matter, but he's going to do something, and I'm used to him doing that particular thing. Now Jeff Skinner's going to come in here, and I don't think anybody's worried about him beating somebody with speed. But if he has a chance in the slot, he might bury that before a Ryan McLeod might have.
Right.
So there's like a bit of a learning process with, who I'm playing with now and how is it going to fit into that puzzle. So that part I think is going to come, but I'm still kind of concerned about the 5-on-5 play because they're not doing it now and they haven't done it in years past. At least with the power play, we can sit back and say, well, that thing is clipping at 30-some%. So even if they have a fall back to, reality, 20% for this group is probably the norm, not 14.
Yeah, because Tommy brought up too, like they're not getting penalties. Like it's not just that they're not scoring; they're not creating, any opportunities go on the power play, which is interesting. Yeah. Tom, you were down there. I know Connor answered all the questions. Said I'm fine, but because when we were doing our show with Joaquin, we got a lot of listeners saying they're concerned that he's rushing it. But you got to trust the athlete. Obviously, he's getting assessed by the team doctors. He's good to go. But do you sense there's still a little bit of fear in the fan base that he is coming back too quick?
That's interesting. And Reed and I were talking about it too a little bit on Oil Stream. And I got the sense that people kind of trusted him to make this decision and the medical team that he was going to be okay. And I don't know. I listened to him on Monday. I listened to him today. I watched him on the ice the last couple of days, and I'm like, well, he looks fine. But he's the only one who genuinely knows. Belsey, you've told me you've dealt with high ankle sprains in the past during your playing days, and they're absolutely brutal. Yeah, they're the worst. Yeah. I guess this was not a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, which is lucky. So, obviously for him, he knows his body like you've already mentioned, and maybe he's perfectly fine. And, I get where the fan base is coming from because this is your captain. This is the best offensive player in the world. And you want him on the ice more often than you don't, that he's not on the ice. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, can you be out for that week, 2 weeks and be fully healthy so that you're available for the rest of the season? But Connor McDavid's a gamer. He wants to play.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to sit in the sidelines. He wants to help his hockey team. So even if he's not healthy, he's probably going to play. And it's tough to tell a guy of that ilk that, hey, yeah, you can't play because we want you fully healthy. He's probably sitting back and like, hey, at 90%, I'm good enough to be one of the best players in the world anyway. So I'm stepping on the ice.
Belsey, really quickly for you, the Oilers are averaging, what are they, like 2.2 goals a game right now? 2.38. They bumped it up a little bit. Over, under 2.5 goals. What did they get tonight?
I think it's going to be a 4-2 game for the Oilers.
Okay.
And I think Connor McDavid is going to have himself a night. And kind of going back to my first point is that you've been without the captain. You've been without the best player in the world. All of a sudden, when you see him walk into the dressing room, there's a bit of a buzz. There's an excitement to having this guy come back and say, man, we've got this guy, and we've been starting to find our game in the last 3 games. So now if we can bring that all together, what's going to happen? So I do think there's a bit of a buzz in that dressing room right now, and I can see that translating to the product on ice.
All right. Nanso, you want over under 2.5? What do you got?
I said low scoring, but I'm still going to take the over.
I'll take the over as well.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what happens. Belsey, great work as always on the pregame show.
We'll
catch up with you on the postgame. All right.
Sounds good.
That is our game analyst, Shawn Belle, with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Keep those texts coming in. I saw a few that I want to get to. 780-218-9999. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Hit that thumbs up button, please, and thank you as well. And portions of this hour brought to you by Hudson's Canada's Pub. You're invited to Wing Wednesday tonight. deals on wings, and they also have $6 house draft featuring the new Blueberry Blonde Ale. Book your reservation now at hudsonscanadaspub.com, or just come on down. Go in. Find yourself a seat. No maitre d' at the front. It's not me. It won't be me on November 21st when we're live at Hudson's White Avenue, or anytime we're at Hudson's Bourbon Street. There's a sign right in front of the door that says, come on in, find a seat. Don't talk to the radio guys.
Instead, everybody looks at Tom. You should just start seating people.
I have. You know what's ridiculous is I've done it. I've just been like, go sit anywhere. Or I go, hey, just go, you know what, you can sit, pick your seat. And then other times where I get annoyed, where I'm literally, there's lights and there's a camera and there's me talking into a headset. I'm just like, or I have the on-air thing and I'm like, I'm on the air. Like, can't you see? Can't you see?
Anyway. You see? Yeah.
Always a good time. We're live on location on the 16th at Boston Pizza Westgate. Lots of great giveaways. You've experienced it, Hernan. Obviously, game day deals and specials there as well. And then the 21st, Hudson's White. And then we're going to be at Bourbon at some point in the last week of November. And we also have another Westgate night as well. And then Dusty and I are in for a Oil Stream afternoon show, lunch hour edition as well. And I think we might have another location by the end of the month, BP, that we're doing too. All right, Hernan Salas, what are you seeing in the inbox? Some thoughts that might have crept in after listening to Shawn Belle there break down game changers for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, McDavid coming back should boost this team. That's why I always say I'm intrigued by their starts. But yeah, like McDavid should be ready to go. I love that Skinner's getting a shot with him, Tom. I think Skinner's been one of the better guys in going to the net and getting those greasy goals. Because I think with Reed, we were talking about how many rebound goals do the Oilers have? And it's not a lot.
Not many.
Yeah, so I kind of like that move. I don't mind the second line staying intact because I think Paul Colson has been good. He needs a little bit more finish, but Arvidsson and Draisaitl fine. The one that intrigued me was Nuge centering Enrique and Brown. Three guys that are struggling to find points, Tommy, right? Because I don't think they're playing terrible. No. They're reliable vet guys that play well defensively, but eventually you have to chip in. So that line kind of, I'm intrigued to see that because that line can go up against anyone. I think Eichel's going to match up with McDavid. Big Thomas Hertl's going to match up with Dry. And then that line, that could be the decider here, that if they can get a goal. And then your fourth line, it is what it is. I mean, I know people were upset Noah Philp got sent down. He's playing in Calgary tonight on the second line for the Condors. But I mean, I'm a Derek Ryan guy. I mean, if he's in and out of the lineup with Noah Philp going forward, I don't mind that. But I don't think it's a big drop off because Derek Ryan's in and Noah Philp is not. So the fourth line has been fine so far. It's going to be with Janmark today, so not too worried. And again, and you brought up Adin Hill, who's he kind of said it himself. I'm not playing well, and I think Skinner would be in that same boat where there's waves of consistency, right? Like they're good for 2 games, crappy for 2. So it's an interesting battle between the pipes because it's 2 guys that. They're not the elite of the elite. They're not the top 5-6 goalies in the league, but
they're in that second tier,
but they're on teams that are competing for Stanley Cup. So we'll see who wins that duel. So it's going to be a fascinating night, man. This this whole week, Tom, we talked about it. The Devils are a fun team. Vegas always gives the Oilers a good match. And then we know Vancouver. So it's going to be a fun game tonight. I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Let's see. Ace96 says if Skinner pods, Hyman score, Bouchard gets a hat trick, I feel Oil could win. I see what you did there.
Tommy, I'll ask you this one from Taco. Well, Tommy, no shoes, but are you wearing pants? Be honest. I'm watching with a few people. I'm watching with a few people, and we have a bet going.
I'm full suit right now. I am wearing a full suit. I will be putting on my shoes very shortly here. And I'll be on my way to Rogers Place for the game. But thank you for your concern. I hope I won somebody some money on that quick prop bet. All right, 780-218-9999. Get into the conversation. And speaking of conversation, I had one earlier with Golden Knights insider Gary Lawless. Let's get to that right now. Just ahead of the Oilers and Golden Knights, we're pleased to be joined by Vegas Golden Knights insider Gary Lawless. First meeting of the season between these two clubs. I'm always excited to see them go toe-to-toe. And Gary, we got Connor McDavid back tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy. You wake up and, it does. The game didn't feel flat, but it didn't have the same kind of juice. You get to the rink and Connor McDavid is skating on a line with Skinner and Hyman, and then all of a sudden, that's... there's no fans here, but there's lots of media here, and that's all everyone is talking about. And all of a sudden, this goes from one game on the schedule tonight to the marquee matchup in the National Hockey League. All eyes will be on Edmonton tonight.
Yeah, indeed, the Golden Knights lead the way. Obviously, the Kings are creeping their way up in the Pacific Division early on. What can you say about the identity of this Golden Knights team so far this year?
Well, balanced scoring. They've... every player that has played for them so far this year, I believe, has a goal. Maybe not Caden Korczak, but like the 18 goal scorers. The 19th guy hasn't scored, or right around there, anyways. And Mark Stone has 20 points. Jack Eichel's been tremendous. Ivan Barbashev, Pavel Dorofeev. Here's an interesting little stat for you.
Lay it on us.
So 14 days ago, less than 1% of ESPN fantasy hockey players had Pavel Dorofeev on their roster. 20.5% today. He is the hottest stock in fantasy hockey, and he's been real good in the real thing too. 7 goals already, playing on a line with Tomas Hertl and Brett Howden. People from Western Canada will remember Brett.
Yep.
Really, born in Calgary but raised in Oakbank, Manitoba. Real good player in the Western Hockey League, and he's having a real good season.
The guy I wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned his name, was Tomas Hertl. That was a big trade last year. Healthy now. How is he amalgamated into this group? You talk about the effect that he's had on Dorofeev. I'm sure some of it has to do with Dorofeev having confidence, playing well himself, but Hertl's impact on this lineup, in your opinion, Gary?
Oh, he's been tremendous. Kelly McCrimmon knew at the trade deadline last year that he wasn't going to be able to keep all his guys.
Right.
Chandler Stevenson was gonna get big money somewhere else. Michael Amadio, William Carrier, Jonathan Marsh. So I think at that point in time it was clear that maybe Alec Martinez was. I don't want to say it the wrong way because he's such an important player and such a good player, but they knew that they had to. Caden Korczak was not going to be able to be on waivers, so they knew they needed to change things up a little bit on the blue line, and so he went out and got Hertl and Hanifin, Tomas Hertl and Noah Hanifin at the deadline, and everyone looked at what happened in the summertime to Vegas and said, "Oh, they lost all these guys." Well, he was preemptive, like his free agency started for him at the trade deadline. He said, "Okay, I'm going to lose these guys. I'm going to replace them with these guys," and he got arguably a better center iceman. In Hertl than anyone that left, and Hanifin at this stage is an upgrade on ice on what Alec Martinez provided. You have to be really careful when you say it because Alec's such a great leader and still an effective player.
Yeah.
But Hanifin is, he's a number one defenseman on a lot of teams.
Right.
Not in Vegas, but in a lot of places. He's part of the big 3 in Vegas with Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore. So he made his moves then, and Hertl unfortunately was coming off knee surgery and was injured, and never really got traction. Mm-hmm. He had a really good summer, and he's been fantastic. He's been really good on the power play. That line, I described it in a column the other day, that Brett Howden lugs the easel into the studio, and then the artists, Dorofeev and Hertl, they put brush to paint and paint to canvas. So it's been really fun watching him play. He's got this great personality. Everybody loves him. He's got a big smile on his face. Just a fun guy to be around. His expression is "fun must be always." And it's a pretty good way to go through life.
Gary, that was beautiful. Thank you. That was very poetic. In goal,
not my expression, it's his.
That was well said. In goal, Aiden Hill's numbers look good. I mean, that team defense always helps. The 5-man unit. Our friend Bob Stauffer is talking about zone defense. If the Oilers are trying to attack the Vegas Golden Knights tonight, try to get offense. What are they facing in terms of a strong, structured defensive unit?
Well, that is the one area that I don't think Vegas has been as good as it has been in the past. I think that is something that that takes time over a season to really get to where you want to be structurally early on. And Bruce Cassidy has been saying lately, he said, if offense is ahead of defense to start the season, because when you're skating with your colleagues in July and August, you're not checking. No. You're trying to score. You're trying everything you can differently offensively. You're doing all these fun things, but no one's like, okay, hey, let's get to our spots. Let's play right defensively. Let's stick to the structure. I don't think you hear that in a Friday night skate in the summer with a bunch of NHL guys and some beer in a cooler in the dressing room. They're trying to have fun. So the offense is ahead early on, but Craig Berube says it the best. If we get to their blue ice and keep them out of our blue ice, we'll win. If they get to our blue ice and keep us out of their blue ice, they'll win. So that doesn't change for me, no matter who plays in the NHL. It's the best way to describe the state of hockey today.
Hey, it should be a really good game tonight. We'll see which team gets to the other team's blue ice. Always a pleasure, Gary. Thanks for doing this.
All right, thanks, Tommy.
I like that guy, Gary Lawless. He's a beauty, and really appreciate him hopping on with me earlier today down at the rink. I didn't know Gary that well, especially early on when he was in Winnipeg, but I've gotten to know him over the years, and he's a beauty, Nanso.
He's a Winnipegger. Yeah, good. I still remember him from the 1290 days. Tommy.
Him and Huss.
Yeah, so that's cool, man. Like, I know when he landed the gig with Vegas years ago, and he does great work, and he's a good dude. I've reached out to him a few times to do shows and stuff, and he's always willing. If he can, he always responds, which all of us in this business appreciate.
Yes, big thank you to Gary Lawless, Vegas Golden Knights insider, and he's talking about like offense for the Golden Knights, and something that I want to, and we were talking about it too, but something I want to point out: the Golden Knights right now have 6 guys in double-digit points. They've played 12 games this season, and they've got 5 of those 6 who are point-a-game guys. Mark Stone leads the way with 20 points. He's having a very good start to the season. So is Eichel at 16 points. Then you got Barbashev, Hurdle, Pietrangelo at 12, and not far behind Dorofeev and Shea Theodore. Dorofeev has 10, and I'll throw in Shea Theodore, who's only played 11 games. He missed one. He has 9 points. That's pretty damn good from the back end. So they are getting the offense, and it is spread out really nicely. Keegan Kolesar has 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists off their fourth line. Nicholas Waugh, 3 goals, 5 assists off their fourth line. Brett Howden, 6 goals, 1 assist. That's depth scoring. Oilers should have it. It ain't happening right now, and they need to get it going, especially against this Vegas Golden Knights group. Nanso, anything else that you want to hit on? We got a few minutes left here.
Yeah, no, I'm just, when you're going through those lines, like I already mentioned, their D-core 1 through 6, solid. Goaltending is always a question mark with that team. But up front, like you said, Stone and Eichel leading the way. Stone's 20 points already, like I say, 7th in the league, and a lot of guys chipping in. And I think Gary said everybody has a goal outside of maybe 1 or 2 guys, which is, Tom, that's outstanding, man.
That is.
Yeah, and for a D-core here that's questionable, at times, this is a good test. I think this is even a bigger test than the New Jersey Devils. This team is big. They like to play kind of like that bully game, and they're not going to step down. They're not afraid of the Oilers' 2 big guys. They always bring it. So this Oilers defense better move the puck quick. We did like the way they were moving the puck last time, Tom. And I think in the last 2 games, they're moving it a lot quicker. But stay out of the box, I think, is one key, because until the PK shows us different, I'm very concerned. And when the other team's power plays is at a 30+% rate, that's scary, man. It truly scary. Now, you get Connor back, so you're probably going back to the 5 original power play setup. No more 2 defensemen, which Hernan didn't like, but we'll see if they can do it. And it was interesting, his comments today saying like they've kind of gone, what was the word he used?
Lifeless.
And
I think that was it, if I'm remembering. I was in the scrum. I should remember.
So when he says something like that, like for me, it's like, okay, been there, done that with the same 5 guys. Like, wouldn't it need a spark if you moved one guy or something like that? Or am I reading too much into it, Tom?
They already kind of tried it, I guess. No, it's honestly with those guys, like from what they've done so far and accomplished, it's like you let them figure it out. And I know like a couple of weeks ago where it's like, change it up because it's not working. And they half-heartedly did, and they try to practice without it. But at some point, like these guys are just too damn good to putter away at 14.7% on the power play, which is just not acceptable whatsoever. And, I'll even throw in the PK, 60%, 14 games into the season. That's awful. Just awful.
Just terrible. And
bad.
A game the whole country's going to see, Tom.
Is it a national game tonight?
Is it?
It's Wednesday.
6:30? Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
So, they're loving Connor McDavid's back. Because I'll be honest, Tom, if Connor wasn't playing this game, there's no way I was picking the Oilers to win this. I'm sorry, but I wasn't.
Well, Scalding Gord actually texted in something interesting. He said, with McDavid back, is there any fear that the Oilers will fall into their, quote, Connor will do it mode?
Hopefully
Scalding
not,
Gord.
Tom.
Yeah, I think there is fear that will happen, but you hope it doesn't, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe those other guys pick up the slack, and like if you're in Vegas, you're going, is Mark Stone going to drag us into it? Is he going to do it? No, you go and you do, because he's working the hardest out of anyone, Mark Stone is, and you want to match that.
Exactly.
And you want to get results, and he demands it. And so I hope that the Oilers can.
And they saw that they can win
on
without him and play well, Tom. So now it's like, hey, we can do it too. But this team shouldn't be in that position. Like they should know
not
that.
be. Correct.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. We'll see if they can get it done. We have a quick lineup note for the Golden Knights. I'll throw out the Oilers lines as well. Eichel between Barbashev and Stone. Hurdle with Howden and Dorofiev. Carlson between Pearson and Holtz. Waugh between Schwint and Kolasar. On defense, Hannafin, Pietrangelo, McNabb with Theodore. The change, Ben Hutton makes his season debut for the Golden Knights. He'll be paired up with Zach Whitecloud. Aiden Hill gets the start in goal for Vegas. At the other end of the rink, it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers rolling out Connor McDavid between Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. Leo Draisaitl with Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins centering Adam Henrique and Connor Brown. And you've got Derek Ryan between Matthias Janmark and Corey Perry. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Stetcher, Kulak with Emerson. No Dermott tonight for the Oilers. In goal, 26-year-old Stu Skinner. 3-4-1 this season, 331 GAA, 881 save percentage in 8 games this year. And then versus the Golden Knights, he is 4-1-1 over the course of his career. Again, playing just his 3rd NHL season. He has a 294 GAA, 888 save percentage in the 6 games he has faced Vegas. All right, Nancito, any final thoughts, or are you good?
No, we're good. We'll talk on the post-game show, which should be a spicy one. It always is when these two teams meet.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens between the Oilers and the Golden Knights. Justin says, good evening, everybody. The boss is back. Let's get a win. Get back on track. Justin, I think a lot of people will be very happy if that is what happens tonight down at Rogers Place. A huge thank you to Gary Lawless for joining us today. And then big thank you to everybody who watched and listened on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, of course, Apple Music, and EdmontonSportsTalk.com. For Hernan Salas and Shawn Belle, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you on the post-game show. Ciao, ciao.